All right, probably live on Facebook now. I hope so. Coming up live on Facebook. I'm just gonna turn that audio off. There we go. All right, I think I am live in the 90-10 Nutrition community. This is day one. My name is Ryan Chapman. If you don't already know that, I know we got about, 150 new challengers in here or more. Everybody just looking to do this 3-week challenge with us. And this is day one, and I'm excited to go live here and talk about a few things. This, I promise, will be the longest video that I make for the entire challenge. I'm trying to make the videos more like 3 to 5 minutes maybe, but this first one is usually a bit longer. There's 3 things that I want to go over before we start, if I can remember all 3 of them. The first thing is I've said this a couple times in the group, but I really, really want you to relax for these first few days and not worry too much. I've seen a couple people posting, I'm having a good day one and everything, and that's totally cool. I mean, there's nothing wrong with, going ahead and trying to eat this way and trying to eat healthy. I just don't want you to stress over the details right now, okay? We're gonna go over everything. You can feel free to ask questions and clarify things and try to learn more. But if you're stressing about it and you're like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm eating green tier yet, and I don't know if it's yellow tier, and I don't know how to track, and I don't know how to do this, and if it's a stress for you, please try to relax, because we're gonna go over everything and then you'll get your questions clarified. This is a long-term thing. This isn't like, oh my gosh, if I don't do good on day one of this challenge, I'm not gonna meet, some goal or something like that. Like, we're gonna go over it all, okay? Second thing, I sent out an email this morning to everyone. I hope most of you got that. There's always issues sometimes with email delivery and spam filters and all that kind of stuff. But I sent out an email about being forgiving of yourself. I'm gonna try to send out an email just about every morning, a little bit of encouragement. But what I'm encouraging you to do today and throughout this challenge is to be forgiving with yourself. When someone else in this challenge, says, oh my gosh, I'm doing so horrible, most people come to their rescue and they're forgiving of them, they're encouraging of them, they're like, oh, don't worry about it, start again tomorrow. But when you yourself don't do well, you're not encouraging with yourself, you're not forgiving with yourself. That's the normal tendency. And I want you to flip that around. No, don't flip it around. Make it, don't be mean to other people and nice to yourself. Be nice to you and other people. So think about how you would treat someone else if they were not doing well. And if you're not doing well, try to, actively think, I need to be kind to myself. I need to be encouraging to myself. I need to say, hey, just start again tomorrow. Don't be so hard on yourself. Okay, so that was what that email was about this morning. Third thing, before I get into my story, is tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern, we're doing our first freezer meal party of this challenge. So we're going to focus a lot on freezer meals. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about meal planning and everything in this challenge, but we're going to do quite a few freezer meal parties to show you how we make freezer meals and how awesome they are. So tonight at 6, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern, we're going to be doing that. And there's an event in the events section of this Facebook group that has all the details and everything. There's even shopping lists created, so you can go shop for all the items and make them with us, or you can just watch the recording later and you can make them anytime you want, okay? So those are all the things before that I wanted to get over before I got into my story. I'll try to watch the Facebook group over here and make sure there aren't any questions as I go through this. But one of the things I always do at the start of these challenges is I show some pictures and tell a little story about how I got into clean eating, low ingredient eating, and my weight loss story, because I think it's important for you to understand where the concepts of 90-10 nutrition come from, because it's a very concept-based program, not a strict rule-based program. Like don't eat wheat, don't eat dairy, don't eat any of these things, just eat these things. Like there's flexibility to it. Some people in here are vegan, and some people in here do mostly paleo type, keto type stuff, and some people don't do any of that, and they just do this, the basic 90-10. So there's a lot of flexibility to it, and I think if you understand the concept behind it and where it comes from, it really helps you understand the program overall. So I'm not going to share the screen yet. I just want to tell you guys, I grew up the fat kid. I grew up the kid who was always overweight when I was young, shopping in the Husky section, eating bad food. You know what? Actually, I think I am going to go ahead and just share my screen and show you guys. Just give me a second here. Go ahead and put that on. Alt, oops. Okay. Share screen. Slideshow. All right, I think we're there. Okay, so, okay, this is me. Lower right corner, kind of highlighted right here. This is me in Little League, you know, a little bit overweight. Funny thing is that these two kids sitting right behind me, or standing right behind me, I used to think were the overweight kids on the team. And now I look back at pictures and I was like, oh man, I was pretty husky back then. It didn't really affect a whole lot. I always had to play third base instead of shortstop, even though I had the arm and the glove for shortstop. I had to play third base because I wasn't fast enough for shortstop. And that was kind of the story of my youth, is good athletic skills, but not enough speed because I was always overweight. You know, my dad is actually the one on the left standing up there. He was one of the coaches. And I'm one of 6 kids. My older brother is 2 in from my dad, skinny kid right here. And then I had 4 younger siblings as well. And so my mom, as you can imagine, my mom was just a little bit busy with 6 kids, right? So our diet consisted of a lot of things that we could make ourselves. I was a master at making macaroni and cheese from a box, Kraft macaroni and cheese. I didn't have to measure anything. I knew exactly how much to put in of everything to make it perfect. We had Costco corn dogs, Costco bagel bites, Pop-Tarts from Costco. We shopped at Costco a lot. My dad would like pack the freezer with stuff in bulk and, you know, like take meat and you know, divide it up and make packets for the freezer and all kinds of stuff to save money. But the diet was Hamburger Helper, corn dogs, Pop-Tarts, spaghetti, all that kind of stuff. We had just a few recipes, and we had pizza at least once a week, you know, and it was just bad nutrition, right? And so I spent those years, you know, always overweight. And I would actually go on a diet when I can remember being 12 years old. And this is just still crazy to me. Every time I tell this story, I think this is just nuts. But at 12 years old, I went on a 1,200 calorie diet to lose weight. And I would actually go, like, I was working at the time because I was homeschooled, and I would go to this Taco Bell across the street, and I would ask for the nutritional information, and I would eat a couple of tacos, but I would just stay under 1,200 calories. And I lost like 30 pounds at 12 years old doing that. And it was horrible, but I did it. And I bet you I was on a 1,200 to 1,500 calorie diet, you know, on and off from the time I was 12 till all the way through college, you know, 10, 15, 20 times. And I lost 20 to 30 pounds every time. And then I would gain it back. So I don't know if anybody that's watching this is like, oh my God, that was me. Like, I would always lose 20 pounds, 30 pounds, gain it back, you know, maybe 35 back, and then lose 30 pounds and gain 35 back, and then lose 20 pounds and gain 35 back, right? And you just kind of are making this little scale. That was me until the point of, this was college. You know, this is what I looked like at the at graduation from college. I was probably 260 pounds or somewhere in that range. I went up another 15 pounds after I got a job, until I went and did a weight loss contest with a buddy at work. And I'm leaving a lot of the story out there. There's tons of stuff in the story about, you know, more about weight loss and up and downs and all kinds of stuff. But after college, I got into a weight loss contest with a buddy, and I lost a whole bunch of weight. And you can see this is me at my wedding. I lost most of it right before my wedding, 55 to 60 pounds right before my wedding. And the way that I did it is I went back to Old Faithful, and for almost a year straight, I did a 1,500 calorie diet. And I went to bed hungry, and I hated it, and it was miserable and horrible, and I was hungry all the time. But what I was doing is I was eating 1,500 calories, but not really caring about what was in those 1,500 calories. So I would eat a 100-calorie pack of M&Ms, and I would eat 100-calorie packs of Oreos, and I would drink diet soda by the liter, and I would, you know, eat lean cuisines for lunches at work and things. As long as I was under 1,500 calories, you know, it was ice cream, it was whatever. Sometimes I would not eat very much all day so that I could have like ice cream and, you know, be under my 1,500 calories. So that was kind of the story of how things went. There's, you know, a decent before and after picture of you know, between college and when I lost all that weight. Another before and after picture of my dad actually, you know, did a bunch of this stuff with me. But so there was this turning point, right? So 1,500 calories, or 1,500 calorie diets, 100 pounds lost almost. But I hated it, and I didn't want to do that anymore. I started into triathlons, and it was really hard to be on a 1,500 calorie diet and try to run distance and stuff like that, because you just didn't have enough energy. And so then I would eat more food and I would gain weight even though I was training. And I was like, there's something wrong here. Like, how come when I eat more food, even though I'm, exercising really hard, how come I'm still gaining weight? And again, I was eating lean cuisines and all that kind of stuff. All the things that a lot of things that you would call diet food is what I was eating. So one day I'm on Facebook. I had just joined Facebook, like 2009, 2010. And this guy posts, it's actually Tony Horton, the creator of P90X, posted a big long note from a friend of his that said, basically, why don't you try counting ingredients instead of counting calories? And I thought, what the heck is this guy talking about? Count ingredients instead of counting calories. And so he gave me this visual of what he was talking about in the post. He said, here is a standard day of breakfast, snack, and lunch for someone who's on a diet. We'll start with Kellogg's Smart Start cereal. It's even called Smart Start. It's got the fiber, the whole grain. Look at 8 grams of protein, all this stuff on the front of the box. Like, this must be healthy, right? And then Wheat Thins for a snack. Those are low fat, whole grain crackers. So we're good to go there. And then lean cuisines. A lean cuisine for lunch. And I was like, holy crap, this is what I do. I actually don't like cereal that much, but this is essentially what I was doing for my diet, is this. And he said, okay, now let's take a look at the ingredients in those 3 items. And he showed me this. And he said that first paragraph is the Smart Start cereal, and the second paragraph is the Wheat Thins, and the third paragraph is the lean cuisine. Now, if you count this up, there's like 138 ingredients total in 3 items that you would eat during the day for a typical person dieting. Anybody out there eating like this, or has eaten like this and has not had great success from it, or has had success but then gained it back, or has had success weight loss wise but hated every minute of it, raise your hand, put a little emoji in the comments or something. I'm sure that there's a bunch of you that have experienced the same thing. So here's what he said. He said, okay, now I'm going to take some oatmeal, just some rolled oats and some honey, and I'm going to have that for breakfast instead of the cereal. I'm going to have blueberries as a snack or some other berry. And then for lunch, I'm going to have some roasted chicken, brown rice, green beans, and I'm even going to put butter on the brown rice and the green beans. Okay. He said, now, here's the ingredients list. 7 ingredients in that total thing. So the processed version, the Smart Start cereal and all that stuff, 130 plus ingredients. The real food version, 7 ingredients. But the calories and the fat grams and the carbs and the protein, all those macros that you hear about are pretty much the same. 610 calories, 614, like the numbers there are pretty much the same right here, but the numbers down here are way different. And he said, which one do you think your body recognizes as food and knows what to do with? And the answer is the one with 7 ingredients. So I said, oh, okay, whatever. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, does this really work? There's some sense there. It makes some sense, but I had to do an experiment. So in the summer of 2010, I went 45 days, limiting my ingredients, but not limiting my calories. And I tracked my calories just to see what they were, but I didn't limit them. I tried not to be scared by eating too many calories, and I just limited my ingredients. My average intake ended up being 2,300 calories, and I lost 15 pounds. One of the things that happens when you do this is that you'll eat things like avocados because they're one ingredient. But normally I wouldn't eat an avocado before because it would take up too much of my 1,500 calories. And when I think back to that now, it seems crazy. Like, why would you not eat avocado? It's a vegetable or a fruit or something. But I mean, it's a whole food. It's a real food. It has good fat in it. And we know that now. We used to think, fat's bad. Fat's what makes you fat, right? And we know that that's not true now. And so it was interesting to me that I would eat things like coconut and avocado, which are actually good for you. My fat intake went up, my calorie intake went up, and I lost weight. I lost 15 pounds in 45 days. So I was hooked, and I said, I've got to do this, right? So I'll tell you more about how that changed into 90-10 nutrition, but I want to get just through this basic idea. What came from this was the basic idea that this nutrition facts section that you see on the labels, it's what most people pay attention to because it has the calories, the protein grams, because protein is a hero in our nutrition world today, the carb grams, which carbs are a villain, and then the fat grams, which mostly are not a villain anymore, but sometimes are, right? But those are the 4 things that people really look at. They look at this nutrition facts section, they go, how many calories? Does it have good protein? Does it have too many carbs? And then I'm not sure what to do with the fat part, but okay. That's pretty much what we do, right? And then there's this other section over here, ingredients. So I want you to look at this Jif creamy peanut butter. The ingredients are peanuts. Let me see if oh yeah, I did do that. Okay, so roasted peanuts, which would be on our green tier, and I will go over the tiers, don't worry. Sugar, which would be on our red tier. Molasses, which would be on our yellow tier. And then hydrogenated vegetable oils. That is code for trans fat, right? So it's got trans fat in it, it's got sugar in it, and mono and diglycerides. Do you even know what that is? But look at the calories, the fat, good 7 grams of protein, all this stuff, right? Now let's go look at Adams peanut butter. If you look back, the calories, fat, protein, and carbs are almost exactly the same between Adams peanut butter and Jif peanut butter. But look at the ingredients, peanuts and salt. That's it. That actually makes a difference. It actually makes a difference that there are real food ingredients instead of having the sugar and the trans fat and all that other stuff in there. Now let me do just a little experiment, a little quiz for you, okay, at the end here. I hope you have stayed with this video all the way to the end because this is the most important part of the video, okay? I have 2 nutrition facts labels on the screen. One has calories of 87, one has calories of 65. One has 5 grams of fat, one has no fat. One has 9 grams of carbs, one has 17 grams of carbs. One has some protein, 1.7 grams of protein. The other one, no protein whatsoever. So the question for you, and I'll give you like 30 seconds here before I go on to the next slide. The question for you is, which one of these would you choose based on the nutrition facts as being the most healthy option, the healthiest option? The one with 1.7 grams of protein and only 9 carbs, the one with 0 grams of protein and 17 carbs, the one that has 5 grams of fat, the one that has no fat, the one that has a little bit more calories, the one that has a little less calories. Which one do you choose? Which one is the healthy option? You don't know what it is. Which one is the healthy option? Okay, now I'll tell you, 9 times out of 10, when I do this quiz with people, people pick the one on the right. The 17 grams of carbohydrates and no protein is almost always a shoo-in for people picking the one on the right. Now let's go on and see what the one on the right is. The one on the right is an apple. The ingredients in it, apple. That's it. An apple has 17 grams of carbs. It has 0 grams of protein. Sometimes people look at the sugar grams, which there's no sugar added to it. It's sugar grams because there's natural sugar and there's refined added sugar, right? So a lot of people pick this one as the least healthy option. They pick the other one as the most healthy option, and it's actually a Reese's peanut butter cup, which is made up of milk chocolate, which has sugar, and dextrose and preservatives like TBHQ and all this kind of stuff. So this is just an example of why the nutrition facts, the calories, fat, carbs, and protein is not the first thing that we should be looking at. And that is what the entire 90-10 nutrition system is based on, is the idea that we don't look at just the nutrition facts, we look at the ingredients. Okay, so I know this video is long. I said it was going to be the longest one. I hope you made it all the way through and got to go through that little quiz. Be with us tonight at 6 o'clock or 9 o'clock if you're on the East Coast for our freezer meal thing live. It will be recorded, so you'll be able to watch it later if you can't make it. Thanks for being on. Let me see. How do I turn this off?